Hello everyone, this presentation is over link rot, reference rot, and link resolvers. To begin, I will be going over some key definitions. As a refresher, a link is a connection between two files and makes searching for things on the internet easier. A reference is a resource used for citations at the end of an academic work, or can be something referred to as a guidance of sorts. So when these things are no longer accessible, usually it is the doing of link rot and reference rot. Link rot is the process by which hyperlinks no longer go to the most current or available web page. Reference rot is where the reader can no longer access the information in the list of references, making the citation useless. Instances of this would be 404 error, 505 error, page not found, etc. Websites are not static. In fact, link rot can be caused by expansion of content management systems and the growing complexity of websites, which can lead to an insufficient information structure. The average span of a URL is about 44 days, roughly. And also, 1 in 5 documents suffers from reference rot. There are both societal and library impacts to link rot and reference rot. Journalism suffers for one. As various news outlets have moved towards web publishing important information and use links as evidence to back up their claims, their readers will often click on the links provided only to find that a 404 error has occurred. Legal decisions, even Supreme Court cases, are affected. Vital legal documents are moving towards being digitally born and distributed online as opposed to being published on paper, which in turn creates an issue in legitimacy and procedure. Before, links were used as a means of further context. They still are, but now, especially in legal documents, they've become more and more essential in legitimizing scholarly information. There are massive implications for libraries as well. When scholarly work is degraded due to reference rot, bibliometrics, which is the way in which a librarian conducts research throughout the use of statistical methods to analyze books, articles, and other publications, is also negatively impacted. And of course, when scholarly work degrades, that means that there is ultimately a lack of resources for patron usage. This also makes combating disinformation harder. Lastly, any impact felt through society is also realized through libraries, as a library is a reflection of its community. Librarians combat link rot and reference rot. One of the ways in which a library does so is through a link resolver. In general, a link resolver is a software that seeks to provide electronic access to text and content that may have otherwise been unavailable, commonly by using an open URL link. There are many different types of link resolving software that work in tandem with open URL linking. Examples of linking software are SFX, 360 Link, Full Text Finder, and Alma. Providers of the software are EBSCO, Xlibris, ProQuest, and the WorldCat Knowledge Base. An open URL would be used if the link has been broken or reference rot has occurred. This is a method that libraries commonly use. For instance, it is known as the Find Me link and in-use library database. It operates on the premise that even if the website or link is not functioning, or if the URL has been broken, or is sourced through another vendor, it will use a software called a link resolver to locate the information referenced, even if it exists elsewhere. But please note, open URLs attach themselves to the article or book title within the website and not the physical URL itself. However, this isn't a perfect method. There have been reports of metadata inconsistencies, granularity of indexing, multiple articles on a single page, inability to specify databases, especially if the vendors aren't communicating with each other. And another issue is that even if the link resolver finds the reference, the patron may still not have free access to the document. Some common strategies to adopt if library employees are facing difficulties finding a resource are to make sure that they activate the full text holdings in an Alma link resolver, SFX, or 360, and making sure that the source to target is active within the software used. Website preservation has long since been a champion of combating link rot. This is done in several ways, but usually through centralized web preservation. When someone creates a website, some archiving software will initiate a program to run through each linked page. It then takes a snapshot of each page and gives it to a third-party vendor. This could be Perma or some other centralized internet archive platform to preserve and store. It relies on a great deal of trust from the website creator that the vendor will not only archive the website's URL, but that they will not alter its contents. Decentralized web preservation is the opposite, and one example is the Amber Project, a web archiving software that used to be centralized until recently. Today, instead of giving this information to the vendor to store, they now request that the creator use the duplicate of the website if it detects that any links have been broken or if it is not functioning correctly. In turn, the creator gets more responsibility, but ultimately the freedom and independence to do what they want with their content. There are problems with current preservation efforts. For one, no one is forced to do the actual work of preserving. The third-party vendors have no responsibility towards the actual preservation of the websites. This is quite alarming considering that there's far too much reliance on linking evidence and context in the academic, legal, medical, and news world as is. There have been instances of the vendors changing the information in the websites, whether it be for political or personal motivation, and of course, not preserving the web pages at all. Currently, libraries are not really involved in the process of preservation, even though they rely heavily on web resources for their users. One possible solution would be, of course, to create incentives for third-party vendors. Another possible solution involves libraries playing more of a vital role in preserving and archiving digital work. This might be a good idea because public opinion of libraries are good, and they are seen as reliable. As stated in the previous slide, librarians have a huge stake in this field, as they not only rely on these resources for their patrons, but already have extensive backgrounds in preserving physical knowledge. The Library of Congress is already preserving web pages with archival quality harvesting software, known as crawlers. In conclusion, providing alternatives to current linking software and preserving methods may be expensive, but it is critical for democracy, as it affects access to information as well as its quality. Librarians must be on the forefront of such endeavors as it aligns with ALA principles, which include democracy, education and lifelong learning, access to information, and intellectual freedom. To learn more about this topic, please visit the following websites. Thank you so much for your time and attention today.